Hello everyone, this is your friend Shinobi Nexus 2.0. Welcome back to the channel. Enjoy the fanfic. And let's begin. Part 3. A few miles down the road and Team 7 and 8 arrived with Tazuna at his house. The house itself was near the ocean and seemed a simple wooden house. Tazuna led the shinobi inside. Tsunami, I'm home, Tazuna said, happy that finally got home. Father, Tsunami said, hugging him, I'm relieved that you are alright. Tsunami was a very beautiful woman. She had mid-back dark blue hair and black eyes. She wore pink shirt with red sleeves and dark blue skirt. It's thanks to these shinobi. They saved me, Tazuna said. Tsunami approached his protective detail and bowed, saying, thank you for protecting my father, Shinobi-san. You are welcome to our house. We appreciate it. Is there anywhere we can lay two of my students who got injured in a fight? Kakashi asked. Tsunami nodded and led the leader Jonin to the rooms upstairs. Sakura, Kakashi said, getting her attention, tomorrow we will start training more seriously. We need to be prepared for when Zabuza returns. Since Naruto injured his teammate, it will be a few days until he's ready. How come a little bit of training is going to help against a Jonin? Sakura asked, wondering if her sensei was trying to kill her. Sakura, who was it that saved us? Kakashi asked rhetorically. If I remember correctly, the genin of Team 8 actually put up a fight against Zabuza while Kiba and Sasuke were simply hammered away, Kakashi explained, making Kurenai smirk inwardly. Fine, but I still don't understand how a few days will help us, Sakura kept pressing. Any training is good for you. If you have to face Zabuza, at least let's raise the odds even if slightly, Kakashi said, to which Sakura finally nodded. Kakashi get up and approached Naruto, who was chatting with his team. Naruto, Kakashi said, getting Naruto's attention. How do you know my name? Naruto asked. You may not know, but I actually watched over you sometimes when you were around 4 years old, Kakashi said. Inu dog? Naruto asked, remembering an Anbu with a dog mask sometimes helping him with the mob's problems before he met his father and the whole training began. That I am, he replied, giving his traditional eye smile. Come, Kakashi said, placing his hand on his shoulder, we need to talk privately. Naruto nodded and they both shunshined to outside of the house into a nearby woods. Naruto and Kakashi in the woods. Kakashi and Naruto arrived in the woods via the traditional leaf shunshin that Kakashi used. That shunshin, it's really starting to get old. Why don't you use an elemental shunshin? Naruto asked. Pretty much all of Konoha always used the leaf shunshin, and while it got the job done, it was, for lack of a better word, lame. Kakashi raised an eyebrow to what Naruto just asked. Can you do the shunshin? He asked, to which Naruto nodded and used his lightning shunshin to teleport to a few meters away. Kakashi was actually surprised to see a genin use the shunshin no jutsu, much less an elemental version. I see you can, Kakashi started, and by the looks of it you already have the lightning element mastered. How? Naruto studied the man for a moment. Even though he helped him several times when he was young, people tend to change. After a few seconds he found no deception, he decided to answer him. I've been training myself since I was 5 years old, Naruto replied, and Kakashi was actually surprised to see someone without a clan training in such a young age. However, he quickly remembered his burden and he needed to be strong to withstand all the hate of his village. I see, maybe I can teach a few lightning jutsu since my affinity is the same, but we are getting off topic here. Kakashi started. How can you summon foxes? Kakashi asked. Naruto froze, wondering if he should tell him the truth about the Kyuubi. There are many people that tried to get close to Naruto to finish him off, however he decided he should trust him. It was a gift from the Kyuubi, Naruto said, making Kakashi glare at him. Suddenly the air between the two dropped a few degrees. Naruto, Kakashi started in a very serious tone, however Naruto didn't even flinch. He was already used to it from the villagers and simply shrugged it off. The Kyuubi attacked our village and almost destroyed it. You cannot trust him. Naruto, hearing this, really started cursing his luck. It was always the same. Every time he met someone and told about the Kyuubi, everyone told him the him couldn't be trusted. Kakashi-san, the Kyuubi was being controlled by the Sharingan and was forced to attack the village. It wasn't his fault, Naruto said, and Kakashi's visible eye widened. Only Uchiha Madara managed to control the Kyuubi and he was long dead. Kakashi studied Naruto for any signs of lies but found none. However, he decided that he should talk to the Hokage about this new development. Better make sure. I'll trust you, but keep in mind that foxes are very cunning, Kakashi said. Kakashi-san, remember that if it weren't for the medical fox I summoned, Sasuke probably wouldn't have made it, Naruto stressed, and Kakashi nodded, seeing it was probably true. You remember me of the Yondaime, always seeing good in everyone, Kakashi said, reminiscing about his genin days where he was always a fool until his best friend died to save him. Yondaime? Naruto asked, wondering how Kakashi knew him until it finally clicked. One of the days Naruto was wandering through the Namikaze compound, he found a picture of his father's genin team. There was a silver-haired boy with mask covering bottom half of his face, a pretty girl with brown hair and 2 red marks on each cheek, and lastly a boy with black spiky hair, black eyes and orange goggles. Naruto turned the picture and it said Namikaze Minato, Hitaki Kakashi, Inuzuka Rin, Uchiha Obito. Ah! Naruto yelled, making Kakashi jump. I remember now. You were on my father's genin team with Rin and Obito, right? He asked. That's right. Your father, Kakashi said, stuttering. Naruto was the son of the Yondaime Hokage. How could he be so blind? For the love of God, he's pretty much a carbon copy of him. How the hell has Konoha been so blind? He should have been there for his sensei's son. He should have done more. Oh shit, Naruto said, knowing that he let that part slip up. Naruto started panicking on the inside. It wasn't supposed to reveal it yet. Kakashi-san, you can't tell anyone until I reveal it, Naruto said. Don't worry, I know very well why you can't say it right now, Kakashi said, easing the boy's worries. And, I'm sorry. I should have been there for you. If I had known, I would have taken you in, Kakashi said with his head down. Don't worry about it. I wasn't so bad. If you had taken me in, I wouldn't have met Hinata-chan, Naruto said. Kakashi perked up and asked, Hinata-chan? Hinata's father disavowed her from the Hyuga clan when she was 8 years old because she was weak, and since then she has been living with me. Besides, she's my girlfriend, Naruto explained, and Kakashi actually broke out in a fit of giggles. If you are thinking what I think you are, I'm going to hurt you, Naruto said, breaking Kakashi of his perverted thoughts. Okay. But she will be stunning girl in a couple of years. You did well snatching her while young, Kakashi said, and Naruto growled, to which the Jonin simply ruffled his hair. Actually, I was wondering if you could tell me about my parents, Naruto asked shyly. I asked Hokage Gigi, but he never had really prolonged contact with them. Of course. I knew them very well. For starters, I can tell you that you adopted your mother's obsession for ramen, Kakashi said, laughing and getting a smile from Naruto. And so they talked for a few hours. Kakashi told everything he knew about them, which was most about his father since he knew him better than his mother. They talked and the hours were pinged by without either of them realizing it until the sky was already dark. Well, Naruto, I think it's time we get back. It's already getting dark, Kakashi said. Thank you for telling me about them, Ni-san, brother, Naruto said, feeling like he bonded with Kakashi. After all, since Kakashi's father's death, he grew close to his sensei. The Yondaime was the closest thing he had for a father. Ni-san, you say? Okay, let's go, Otuto, younger brother, Kakashi said, ruffling his hair and leaving the forest with him. Next day. The next day after the teams arrived, we find everyone quietly enjoying breakfast prepared by Tsunami. They were eating until Kakashi decided to break the ice and explain a few things. Everyone, Kakashi said, getting everyone's attention. After this we are going to train as I explained to Sakura yesterday. Zabuza will be back and probably bring some help, so we need to be ready. We will alternate between protecting Tazuna at the bridge, protecting his family and training, Kakashi explained, and everybody nodded. They continued eating for a few minutes until everyone was finished. Sasuke was already getting better from his injuries and could walk, however he still couldn't anything too physically stressful to the body. Sakura, Sasuke, Kiba, Naruto and Hinata will come with me to train, while Kurenai and Shino stay and protect Tsunami and Inari. After the train I'll take some of you to the bridge to protect Tazuna. Everybody agree? Kakashi asked and everyone nodded. A few minutes later Kakashi's team accompanied by Sasuke and Kiba left the house for training. In the woods for training. Okay, now we will train chakra control, Kakashi said. Chakra control? Sakura asked. Yes, we all know how to call upon chakra, however you don't know how to properly use and manage it. By doing this exercise you will be able to last longer in fights and learn new jutsu faster, Kakashi explained, and Naruto wondered what type of exercise it would be. Now I'll be climbing trees, Kakashi said, and Naruto's sweat dropped. Kakashi-ni-san, don't tell me you brought your team into an A- rank mission without even teaching them proper chakra control, Naruto asked, and Kakashi actually felt ashamed of not teaching more personal skills. Don't sweat it, Dobi, we already know how to climb trees, Sasuke said, and Sakura agreed. Naruto just shook his head, knowing the Sasuke didn't understand the point of the exercise. Actually, I focused more on teamwork exercises. You know how Sasuke and Kiba act. They are both brash and tend to jump into situations without thinking, Kakashi said, and both Sasuke and Kiba scowled. Wait. You called Kakashi Sensei Ni-san? I thought you had no one. Sasuke asked. He's not actually my brother by blood, but we are both orphans and we both look at the same person as our father, Naruto explained, and Hinata raised an eyebrow. She knew who Naruto's father was, which means that Kakashi must have been close to the Yondaime. Enough chit-chat. What I want you to do is focus chakra to the bottom of your feet and walk up the trees. When you can walk to the top 2 times in a row we'll move on, Kakashi explained. What do you mean walk up the trees? Sakura asked in all her infinite wisdom. Like this, Naruto said, and started walking towards a tree. When he arrived near one he simply placed a feet in its trunk and started walking up. Everyone in Team 7 minus Kakashi was shocked seeing Naruto walking vertically. Oh Naruto, you already know this chakra exercise very well, Kakashi and Sasuke seethed his teeth. Dobi, how did you do that? I demand you teach me, Sasuke, and Naruto just ignored him. He already knew Sasuke all too well from the academy. Sasuke believed everyone should be grateful that he allowed them to breathe. Didn't you hear your sensei? Naruto asked rhetorically. You need to channel chakra to your feet and run up the tree. Exactly. Take these kunai to mark your progress. Hinata, I assume you already know how to do this, Kakashi asked, and Hinata nodded. Hinata-chan, watch me. I'll get this down in 1 hour, Kiba said, bragging to her. Kiba, I already told you that I'm with Naruto-kun. If you opened your eyes you would see that there are other girls that may like you, Hinata said, and Kiba frowned. Maybe she was right. Team, get started. Naruto, Hinata, you are coming with me to the bridge, Kakashi said, and they nodded and started walking to the bridge to protect Tazuna. You never know if Zabuza would try a sneak attack. At the bridge, everyone in the bridge was peacefully working. It was a bright sunny day and the air itself was rather warm due to the ocean's breeze. Kakashi was reading his traditional orange book and giggling like a crazy person. Naruto just sweat dropped when he saw him pull that book. Hinata was simply leaning in the bridge watching the ocean and Naruto appeared to be working on something. Kakashi raised an eyebrow and decided to know what he was doing. Hey Otudo, What are you doing? Kakashi asked, getting Naruto attention. The blonde had both hand palms slightly apart from each other and he appeared to channeling Raiden chakra between them. I working on a jutsu I'm creating. If it works it will pack quite a bang, Naruto said grinning and Kakashi raised an eyebrow. Naruto reminded him of himself when he was young. After all he graduated as Jonin when he was 13 years old and had already created his own jutsu. That's not easy you know, Kakashi said. You will never know until I try it, Naruto replied. Naruto decided to take a break and help in the bridge. Hey Tazuna! Naruto yelled getting the old man's attention, I'm tired of doing nothing. Can I help? Naruto asked. The more the merrier, Tazuna replied. But before he could continue Naruto placed his finger in a cross sign and said, Kage Bushin no Jutsu, and out came around 100 clones. Kakashi eyes widened seeing the number of clones the blonde could do. Hinata just shrugged it off as it was a normal scenario when they were training. Okay Tazuna tell them what to do, Naruto said and Tazuna just nodded dumbly. Naruto, how can you make so many? Kakashi asked still in shock. One side effect of being a Jinchuriki is that you develop MIV chakra reserves, Naruto said and Kakashi glared at him pointing to Hinata that was nearby. Don't worry, she already knows everything about me including my legacy, Naruto explained and Kakashi sighed. The work on the bridge went extremely well with the help of Naruto's shadow clones. If he continued helping the bridge should be done in 2 weeks. Later that day, Tazuna's house. The group sat down to eat dinner as a young boy came in and shot a disgusted look at the group of ninja before declaring how they were all stupid to face Gato and were just going to die, which Naruto angrily refused was the case. What would you know about pain? I bet you have all lived sheltered lives in that ninja village of yours. You don't know what suffering is, the young boy yelled after Naruto had denied what they were doing was futile. So what? Things are bad, but you know what? I have had it much worse. You still have a mother who loves you and a grandfather, a house to keep you warm and food every night. You don't know what it's like to be hated in your own village for something that is out of your control. You don't know what it's like to be beaten and kicked out of shops and forced to go through the garbage for food. You think your life is bad, fine, but don't just sit around and moan about it, do something about it, fight back, don't be a coward. Kakashi sensei, I'm going out to clear my head, and with that Naruto stormed out the front door. Hinata got up and quickly followed him. Kakashi sensei, Naruto's life couldn't have been that bad, right? He has to be lying to get attention, Sakura asked. No Sakura, everything he said was true. Naruto was kicked out of the orphanage at age 4 and lived on the streets for months before I found him and took him to the Hokage. The Hokage gave Naruto an apartment, but he had to learn everything for himself, and was constantly being beaten and kicked out of stores. And that is the watered-down version, Kakashi said, shocking the group in the room. Even Hinata, she was expelled from her own clan when she was 8 years old because her father deemed her too weak and unworthy of being the heiress of the clan. But luckily they found each other, Kakashi said, and everyone started looking at them in a new light. They were brave kids that didn't back down. Tazuna's house roof. Naruto stormed out of the house and made his way to the roof to gaze upon the dark sky. He needed to forget his previous argument with the spoiled kid. A few moments later, Naruto saw Hinata approaching but said nothing. Hinata made his way towards Naruto and sat beside him, resting her head on his shoulder. Neither of them said anything and continued to look at the stars in a comfortable silence. Until Hinata decided to break the ice. You really shouldn't blame him, he's just naive, she said, trying to ease Naruto. It's just, we all suffered. Me being a Jinchuriki, you getting expelled from your family, and even Sasuke getting his whole clan killed by his own brother. Compared to us, he has a good life, Naruto replied. It's true we suffered, but not everyone has the strength to move on and forget the pain. If it weren't for you, I would probably still be the same shy, weak girl I was. You were the one that gave me strength. Look at Sasuke, his pain drove to becoming obsessed by revenge. Hinata said. You are unique, Naruto-kun, Hinata continued, people that get to know you pull strength from you. You were my beacon of hope. You just need to be it for this kid too, she said. I'll do my best, Hinata-chan, he replied with a small smile, pulling her closer. Now that I think about our lives, you never took me out on a date, she said. Naruto was caught by surprise by this, but she had a point. In a relationship, it's usual for couples to go on dates. I never really thought about it, but it wouldn't be a bad idea. We could use the time we have here away from hateful glares of Konoha. How about tomorrow I take to dinner? Naruto replied with smirk. I would love to, she said, giving a kiss on the cheek and dragging him inside as Naruto is calmed down. Next day, 7 p.m. The next day after they set up their date went by normally. Everyone trained with Kakashi and Kurenai, however both Naruto and Hinata trained away from them since they were more advanced. Today the charge of watching Tazuna on the bridge fell on Kurenai with Team 7, and to say they bored was an understatement. Sasuke actually seemed ready to go on a killing spree just to pee the time. He wanted to train, but he got stuck with watching Tazuna, a few workers and crap ton of Naruto clones working on the bridge. Sasuke seethed his teeth when he arrived at the bridge and saw all the clones Naruto did. That power should belong to him since he needed that to avenge his clan. It doesn't matter, only an Uchiha can defeat an Uchiha, Sasuke thought. Only if he knew. Currently we find Naruto and Hinata getting ready to go on their first date. They asked for permission to Kakashi and Kurenai since they were on a mission. Neither of them had proper clothes other than their shinobi attire. The only difference was that they left their headbands at home, signifying that they were off service, if one could call it that. They walked through town deciding on where to eat. When they arrived at the center of the town, both of them were shocked. This town was poor. There was people asking for jobs, kids living on the outside, and even the resources the markets had to sell were scarce and of very poor quality. Gato had pretty much destroyed this small town. At least if their mission was successful and Tazuna managed to finish the bridge, they would be able to recover from this. Not how they decided to spend their first date, but they already loved each other. This date wasn't much. They were watching the various shops and restaurants, trying to pick a good place when they heard some yelling in the middle of the streets. Quick, old man. We already told you that you need to pay up, one of Gato's men said. There were two guys trying to collect payment from a shop owner who was on the ground looking terrified. But I already paid this month, the shop owner replied. Boss said that you sent more merchandise for shipping, so you need to pay more taxes this month, he said. If you can't pay up, we'll take your wife as payment, he concluded, and started physical assault on the man. Naruto and Hinata, seeing this, jumped into action. In a swift motion of punches and a few kicks, Gato's men were running away bruised and bleeding, wondering how the kids managed to do this. Kuchio's no jutsu, summoning no jutsu, Naruto said, and in a poof of smoke appeared a small one-tailed black fox. His name was Kyofu, and he was a spy fox that extremely skilled in stealth and information gathering. What you need, Naruto? Kyofu asked. I need you to follow those two men and find where Gato's base is and any other information you can, Naruto explained, and the fox dashed out of sight. Naruto turned to Hinata. Shall we continue? He asked, extending his right arm, which Hinata took and pulled him closer. Finally deciding where to eat, they entered and found the place was welcoming and warm. It wasn't a fancy restaurant, but they didn't care for that. During their lunch they tried to talk, however they already knew everything about each other. It was a rather strange date as most went by in silence, so they simply ate in a comfortable silence. When they left, Naruto decided it was still early, so he decided to drag Hinata to local cinema and watch something. A couple hours later they arrived at Tazuna's house. Their date didn't go that well, but they didn't care. After all, the point of the date was to spend some time together. Since the mission started, it was either training or guarding Tazuna. 1 week later. 1 week had passed and the teams were preparing for the showdown at the bridge. It was a terrifying sight for any civilian to see a shinobi getting ready for a fight. The ground was filled with weaponry, kunais, shuriken, senbon, flash tags, explosive tags, ninja wire, giant shuriken, and even Naruto's sword was out of his storage seal. He decided to carry it in his back since he could need it at any time. Everyone ready? Kakashi asked and everyone nodded. The fox Naruto had sent to gather information and spy on Gato paid off. The fox found out that Zabuza would attack today since Haku was already healed from her shoulder wound, as was Zabuza from chakra exhaustion. Since Gato plans to betray Zabuza when the fight is over, he may well send someone here. If he does send, they probably won't be shinobi, Kakashi said and brought his hand to his chin and started pondering who to stay back, keeping in mind that he would face Zabuza and Haku. How about we leave Sakura, Hinata and Kiba here, since they have good taijutsu and they can easily take out any thugs Gato sends. The rest will go to the bridge. I can engage on Haku with Sasuke if necessary. Kakashi-sensei and Kurenai-sensei can take Zabuza while Shino provides overall support and protects the client, Naruto suggested. Kakashi pondered. Shino will in a tight spot if either Zabuza or Haku split past us and rush the target, Kakashi pointed out. Naruto considered this scenario. I can put the same barrier as last time, besides Shino can control his bugs from inside the barrier, right? Naruto asked and Shino nodded. It's good. Well then everyone stick to the plan. Tazuna, you are ready? Kakashi asked and Tazuna weakly nodded. After all, Tazuna would be bait to draw them out. Everyone started moving out and before they left, Naruto gave Hinata a brief kiss while whispering, "Good luck, if you need me here use the ring," and Hinata nodded. On the bridge, Tazuna was approaching the bridge guarded by Kakashi, Kurenai, Naruto, Sasuke and Shino. They entered the bridge and there was already a mist in the air. Naruto discreetly activated his Sharingan while placing the usual genjutsu on it. They made their way to bridge, moving as silently as possible. Well, everyone minus Tazuna, who was sweating bullets and breathing hard just from fear itself. Naruto, using his Sharingan, could see glimpses of two chakra sources. They are already here, both Zabuza and Haku. Just about 100 meters away, Naruto said, and everyone stood in their guard. How do you know that? Kakashi asked. After all, Kakashi's sensing abilities weren't that good and he was considering summoning one of his dogs. I'll tell you later. Can't tell with Sasuke here, Naruto whispered to his ear and Kakashi nodded. Now isn't the time for chit-chat. They continued walking until they stood a few meters from each other. Kakashi, we meet again. I'll enjoy the bounty on your head, Zabuza in a dreary voice. So many places to choose from. I can slit your throat, stab into your heart, destroy your lungs, burst your kidneys, or break your spine, Zabuza continued saying while unleashing a lot of killer intent. Kakashi, Kurenai and Naruto seemed immune to it while Shino and Sasuke were sweating and Tazuna was already in the ground as his legs gave out. Naruto saw Zabuza move from his spot but he didn't have time to warn his team. He picked up his sword and jumped in front of Kurenai, blocking the Kubikiribocho. You are very good kid to manage to find me, Zabuza said. Not many people manage to keep their head cool enough to think in these situations. Sometimes even Jonin would get caught. If it weren't for Naruto, Kurenai would already be dead. Say goodbye to your mist, Zabuza, Naruto said, going through a few hand signs and unleashing a gust of wind that blew the mist away, getting a frown from Zabuza. I really hate wind users, Zabuza said, shouldering his sword and getting ready for the attack. As we planned, everyone take their positions, Kakashi ordered. Why should the Dobi fight while me and Elite will just stand and watch? Sasuke said in his typical arrogant tone. Now is not the time, Genin, Kakashi said in a very serious tone, making Sasuke gulp. You will stay with Tazuna outside the barrier and only jump in if Naruto needs. Are we understood? Kakashi asked and Sasuke nodded. Get ready, Kakashi said. Tazuna retreated with Shino. Naruto made 4 shadow clones that formed a square around them and said, Ninpu, Shishienjin ninja art. 4 flames formation, and erupted a purple barrier with Tazuna and Shino inside and Sasuke on the outside. Kakashi and Kurenai got closer preparing to fight Zabuza and Naruto with his sword on hand prepared to face Haku. Zabuza said a few water clones that surround Kakashi, Kurenai and Naruto. Naruto turned to Kakashi and he gave him a nod. Naruto disappeared in a burst of speed and 1 second later every single clone burst into water. Looks like you found your rival in speed, wouldn't you say, Haku? Zabuza asked. It looks like that, Haku replied and dashed towards Naruto. Naruto seeing this gripped his sword tighter and started running towards Haku. They met roughly at halfway and started exchange a few blows. Neither of them gaining advantage. Naruto would easily block every single attack, however he didn't manage to land anything either. They found themselves in a standstill. Naruto was blocking Haku's kunai with his sword. Haku seeing he had one hand occupied starting going through single-handed hand seals and once finished said, Sensatsu Susho flying water needles of death, and immediately 1,000 water needles formed from the clone's water and started raining on Naruto. Naruto seeing this knew he hadn't many options to avoid it and decided to test his new eyes and the power he learned to use. He shifted his eyes into the Mangekyu and said, Kamui, might of the gods. Naruto made his body intangible and everyone watched in awe as well as fear as every single needle ped give through Naruto's body exiting in the opposite side. It's not possible, Haku said. You aren't a bunshin. I can feel your chakra and your sword is pressing against my kunai, she explained. Well, that's one my most powerful jutsus, Naruto said smirking. He used this moment of distraction and gave a powerful kick to Haku's chest that sent her flying and crashing into the ground near Zabuza. Zabuza was still wondering how the kid managed to do that and also beat Haku in speed. You are really good for a genin, Zabuza said. Kakashi laughed and said smirking, Zabuza, what if I told you that Naruto here is actually the dead last? Zabuza's eye widened. The brat couldn't possibly be the dead last. That or Konohas has been seriously training their genin. Zabuza, before we begin our real fight I have a proposition for you, Naruto said and Zabuza raised an eyebrow. What do you want? Zabuza said wondering what the kid meant. I heard that Gato plans to betray you once you get the job done. He plans to kill you and Haku once you kill Tazuna so he doesn't have to pay you. So how about we join forces and kill Gato and in return you can come back with us to the leaf, Naruto explained and everyone raised an eyebrow. Naruto, you just can't offer asylum to a missing nin like that, Kakashi said. Kid, you are crazy. What makes you think I would join the leaf? Zabuza asked. I bet you are tired of all the running and having to keep looking for missions just to live. And I know the old man well enough. Both of you can be great ETS to the village. Zabuza is one of the 7 swordsmen. Haku has the ice release, Naruto said and silently Zabuza agreed. Both of them were tired of the constant running and they wanted a place to settle down. How do you know about my bloodline? Haku asked. She didn't reveal it last time they faced each other. Did you really think we would just train while apart? Information is half the battle, so I sent a fox to spy on Gato's warehouse and he found you training, Naruto explained and they both scowled. A jonin getting spied on without realizing it. Be that as it may, but I still have a reputation and in my place it's all I have. We will fight and if Gato appears to finish me off then we join forces and then I'll decide if we'll go to the leaf. Zabuza said and Naruto nodded. If Naruto was lying, which Zabuza wouldn't now, Zabuza would be destroying his reputation by betraying his client. Immediately Haku starting going through hand seals and said, Makyu Hyusho demonic ice mirrors. All around Naruto ice mirrors started forming, trapping him in an ice dome. Haku walked to one of the mirrors and simply entered the mirror itself as if she became nothing more than a reflection. Inside the ice dome, inside the dome, Naruto could see that Kakashi and Kurenai were already engaging Zabuza. Even for both of them, Zabuza was no pushover. Naruto needed to get over with his fight in order to go help them. Also, Sasuke was around and he knew that if they needed help he would jump in. Uchiha pride and all. Funny, Naruto was an Uchiha, but even though he had pride in his blood, he was never arrogant about his power. Naruto focused on his battle and noticed that every mirror around him had Haku's reflection in it. He noticed that each Haku was holding 3 Senbons in each hand, getting ready to attack. Naruto's eyes widened when he realized that Haku was much faster now. If he didn't have the Sharingan to track her movements, we would need to resort to higher level attacks. Haku looked at Naruto surprised. You are the first person to ever dodge my attack when they are trapped in this jutsu. Naruto simply smirked. Haku continued her relentless alt, switching from mirror to mirror while launching countless Senbon to Naruto. This went on for a few minutes. Naruto would simply dodge all Senbons without even needing his Kamui. How are you dodging my attacks? Haku yelled, finally losing her cool. You can't win. This jutsu spends a lot of chakra and you already getting low, Naruto simply said. Shut up. Haku yelled and charged at Naruto as fast as she could, but Naruto's Sharingan could still follow her perfectly and saw her every single muscle movement in slow motion as she charged. Naruto took the opportunity and grabbed her by the hands, throwing her into one of mirrors. Suddenly, near where Haku landed a kunai with an explosive tag. The tag exploded and Haku braced herself for the impact, not getting too much damage. Naruto looked to see who threw the kunai and found Sasuke inside the dome. What are you doing here? Naruto asked. I figured Adobe-like would need help, Sasuke said with his trademark arrogant smirk. Haku took this opportunity and threw a few Senbon to Sasuke. Naruto noticed the Senbon incoming towards Sasuke. Naruto didn't have enough time to reach him, so Sasuke got it by the Senbon and fell limp in the ground. Naruto's eyes widened and he ran towards him. Naruto looked at him and noticed that the Senbon hit his neck in a non-vital area, and using his Sharingan he noticed that his chakra network was still active, so Sasuke was probably in death-like state. Naruto decided to finish this battle and said, Kaden, Gukakyu no Jutsu, great fireball technique, and launched a fireball into one of the mirrors, seeing if it would be enough. To his surprise, the fireball impacted the mirror, but it remained there as if nothing happened. You can't defeat my technique with such low-level attacks, Haku said. Then let's take this up a notch, Naruto said and made a single Kage Bunshin and both went through a few hand seals. Kaden, Goryuka no Jutsu, great dragon fire technique, Naruto said. Fuden, Daitapa, great breakthrough, Naruto's clone said. The combination of AB ranked Kaden ninjutsu powered up by the wind jutsu, and the result was a big fire dragon rocketing towards the mirrors. Haku tried pumping more chakra to his technique, but it wasn't enough. The pressure of the dragon coupled with the tremendous heat made the ice dome explode, sending Haku crashing hard into the ground in pain with burns in her mask cracked. Forgive me, Zabuza-sama, I cannot defeat this boy, Haku thought, coughing a bit of blood. Naruto approached Haku, still weary as she still could attack. Naruto made a few hand seals and said, Chakra seal. Placing his hand on Haku, he blocked her chakra and tied her up with ninja wire. He went to see how the other battle was going on. Outside of Ice Dome few minutes earlier, Kakashi and Kurenai were about to face Zabuza. Kakashi pulled up in headband, revealing his Sharingan. Sharingan again? Zabuza mocked. Be proud, Zabuza, you the first enemy to ever see it twice, Kakashi said and started going through hand seals. Kaden, Gukakyu no Jutsu, great fireball technique, Kakashi said and sent a fireball towards Zabuza. Zabuza didn't even budge. He went through hand signs of his own and said, Sweden, Sujinheki water wall, and created a water wall that blocked the fireball, creating a cloud of steam all around. Kakashi run forward and engage Zabuza on taijutsu. Wrong move as Zabuza was stronger due to being used to use his big broadsword. Kakashi sent a low kick making Zabuza jump up. Kakashi tried to capitalize on this with a punch but Zabuza blocked it. Zabuza jumped back just in time to block a barrage of shuriken sent by Kurenai. Sweden. Suiryuden no Jutsu, Water Dragon, Zabuza said and sent a big water dragon towards Kurenai. She got caught in the ground and was sent crashing into the wall, hard disabling her momentarily. Kurenai, Kakashi yelled and made his towards her to check on her condition. When he arrived near her, she was regaining consciousness. They made up a battle plan that would end Zabuza when they heard an explosion coming from the ice dome. Naruto, they both thought. But what both and Zabuza saw was a big stream of fire coming from the dome with Haku flying towards the ground and Naruto simply walking out of the ice dome, now practically all destroyed. The brat managed to defeat Haku, is no ordinary genin. He must be at least Jonin to defeat Haku without getting hurt. Zabuza said, watching Naruto tie Haku up and making his way towards his battle. Need help? Naruto asked, not even slightly winded. His MIV chakra reserves weren't even slightly spent, he was practically full. Sure. Kurenai got hit. Let head rest for a bit while she prepares, Kakashi said, and Naruto started sinking into the ground. How many jutsus does he know? Is a fresh genin, and so far I already saw big Kaden and futon jutsus and now low-level Doden, Kakashi thought. Something where was out of place. Zabuza had his guard up. If one thing he knew was not to underestimate the blonde kid. He managed to easily defeat Haku. Suddenly he felt a presence behind and turned, but he was too slow. Naruto emerged from the ground just behind Zabuza and in his hand was a blue ball of chakra. Rasengan, Naruto said, slamming the blue condensed ball of chakra into Zabuza until he burst into water. Shit, water clone, Naruto thought and turned to see Zabuza with his sword ready to chop in half. This is the end, kid, Zabuza said and brought his sword for an horizontal slash to chop Naruto in half. Naruto, Kakashi yelled. Naruto activated once again his Kamui. He got to admit it's a kick power that most likely confuses enemies to no end. Zabuza was watching as his sword was phasing through Naruto and leaving his body without a scratch. When the sword left him, Naruto gave Zabuza an uppercut and jumped back near Kakashi. Zabuza regained his balance. What the hell is that attack? Zabuza asked, getting pissed off. He never saw anything like that. That's for me to know and for you to find out, Naruto said smugly, making Zabuza even more pissed off. Suddenly a tree started growing behind Zabuza, trapping with its branches. Megan, Jubaku Satsu, tree binding death, Kurenai said, making the tree grow and snaring Zabuza in place without chance to escape. You are too dangerous to be left alive. What I'm about to show is my own personal jutsu, Kakashi said and started gathering a great amount of chakra in his right hand. The chakra changed into electricity until it started producing a loud sound. Kakashi dashed forward, intending to end Zabuza's life for good. Chidori, 1000 birds, he was about to slam it against Zabuza when he heard, "Look at that, the demon defeat by a punk," some man said in the far side on the bridge. Kakashi stopped his ult, disabling his Chidori, and said, "Gato," with distaste. "What are you doing here, Gato?" Zabuza asked, getting the impression the blonde kid was telling the truth. "I'm here to kill you. You are simply too expensive when I can buy a few thugs that get the job done," Gato said, smirking, thinking he was untouchable. Surrounded by 50 thugs all equipped with weapons. "Release me, we are no longer enemies." "You were right, kid," Zabuza said, and Kurenai left her illusion down. Zabuza picked up his sword and was about to rush into Gato when Naruto placed a hand in front of him, making Zabuza confused. I want to try out the jutsu I've been developing, Naruto said. Hey, old man Tazuna, how are you supplies to finish the bridge? Naruto asked. I've got plenty. Why do you ask? Tazuna said, getting confused. Kakashi-sensei, Kurenai-sensei, Zabuza, you are about to watch my very first creation, watch closely, Naruto said, and everyone wondered what he was going to do, even Sasuke, who just got up a few minutes ago. You really think you can defeat us all? One of the thugs said. Naruto simply smiled. Naruto brought his hands closer and slammed them against each other and started concentrating. He slightly separated his hands and started concentrating Raiden chakra between them. A few seconds later, the Raiden chakra started shrinking into a small perfect light blue sphere. Naruto sent the sphere into the sky and it expanded into a flash of light, immediately gathering clouds in the sky. Thunders could be heard as the sky started to get darker and heavy rain started to fall. As the thunder intensified, everyone watched in wonder how the kid managed to make it rain without much difficulty. Is this how you are going to kill us? Rain? Gato said. Everyone thought that what he was doing failed, but Naruto simply smirked. Naruto concentrated Raiden chakra in his right hand and sent a small beam to sky, and everyone watched was a Miv lightning dragon gathered in the sky as if waiting for command of its master. Watch closely, Naruto said, and brought his hand down, commanding the dragon to attack. Raiden. Kirin, Naruto said. The dragon left the sky and rocketed towards Gato and the thugs with such speed that everyone only saw a glimpse of light before the bridge where Gato was exploded with tremendous source that everyone had to gather chakra to its feet just to don't get blown away. Everyone watched in awe at the power of such jutsu. When the dust cleared, there wasn't nothing left where the thunder landed. In the place where Gato and thugs were was now a big hole. Even the bridge itself was blown to bits. So much power, Kakashi said as he watched everything with his Sharingan. That technique was easily an S rank. Maybe I should go to the leaf. I wouldn't want be on the receiving end of that, Zabuza thought. That power should be mine, with that I could easily defeat my brother. Yes, that power will be mine, Sasuke thought as he watched in awe the Miv lightning strike. What the hell are these shinobi? They can't be human, Tazuna thought in awe and a bit of fear. Awesome, my technique worked, Naruto exclaimed happily, and everyone turned to him with theirs fixed on him. Congrats, Kit, Kurama said. It's over. Gato is more than dead, Kakashi said, looking at Naruto of laughed. So Zabuza, have you thought about Naruto's proposal? Kakashi asked, and Zabuza started pondering. He was tired of this life, and if went to the leaf perhaps he could witness that attack once again. That lightning dragon was beautiful. I'll go with you. I'm tired of this life. Besides, I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of that, Zabuza said as he pointed to Miv missing piece of bridge, and Naruto smirked. By the way, Naruto, congrats, that is one powerful jutsu, easily S ranked, Kakashi said, happy that he inherited his father talents. And the best thing is that its chakra consumption is practically non-existent since the dragon is powered by the natural electricity of the sky, Naruto replied, and Kakashi nodded. Maybe you can teach it to me, Kakashi said. You need a very high lightning affinity, as you need to manipulate the very essence of electricity and also manage to gather it up in the sky, but if you have, I would happily teach it to you, Ni-san, Naruto said. Ni-san? Zabuza asked. We aren't really brothers, but we are close enough, Naruto said. Dobi, I demand you teach me that jutsu, Sasuke said, walking up to Naruto. No, Naruto simply said. What do you mean no? That power should belong to me and Uchiha Elite, Sasuke said. The reason I won't teach it to you is because you have the wrong goals. Revenge and lust for power, Naruto said, and walked off, leaving Sasuke angry. The council will heard about this, Sasuke thought. Okay everyone, let's head home. Tazuna, you can work peacefully now that Gato is dead. We will probably be a few more days since Naruto decided to blow up the bridge, Kakashi said, glaring at him. Naruto simply scratched the back of his head. Few days later, everyone was at Chizuna's place packing to leave. The bridge was complete and the wave was starting to recover from Gado's tyranny. Haku became good friends with Naruto and Hinata since they shared a common background. They were both hated and chased away from what they contained, either it be a demon or bloodline. Haku recovered very well since Naruto summoned a healing fox to help her treatment. Zabuza gave Naruto a few pointers and tips on his sword style. Zabuza was surprised when he found out that Naruto was an Uzumaki, masters in the art of the sword. Kakashi was almost floored when he found out about Naruto. Flashback. Everyone had arrived at Chizuna's house coming from their battle. They found it was a good idea to leave some backup in the house as two thugs attacked and tried to kidnap Tsunami and Inari. Kakashi called Naruto over and they both went outside of the house into the woods. So, care to explain how you could see Zabuza and Haku in the mist? Kakashi said. I know I can trust Kakashi-sensei. My father never told you this. Actually, I believe he never told anyone other than my mother. Naruto said and activated his Sharingan. Kakashi's eyes widened when he saw a three-tomo Sharingan fire up in Naruto's eyes. How can you have the Sharingan? Neither your mother or father were Uchihas, Kakashi said. Actually, my father was an Uchiha, he just never told anyone. Did you ever wonder how could he be so fast? It's true he used the Hiroshin, but a normal person without any bloodline wouldn't be able to react in time at those speeds, Naruto explained, and Kakashi asked why he never pondered that situation. So how many people know that you are an Uchiha? Kakashi asked. So far the old man, Hinata, Shino, Kurenai-sensei and you. And I'm happy I never told anyone since I awakened it when I was 5, otherwise I would probably join the Uchiha clan in the grave, Naruto said, sending shivers to Kakashi. Oh, another thing, Naruto started. I kind of copied your Chidori. Since Raiden is my main affinity, do you mind if use it? Naruto asked, rubbing the back of his head sheepishly. I have no problem with that. Besides, the Chidori was created to be used in conjunction with the Sharingan, so it serves you well. Kakashi said. I wonder why Sensei never told me. Kakashi wondered out loud. It's probably because of who was his father, Naruto said, and Kakashi raised an eyebrow. My grandfather was Uchiha Madara, Naruto said, and Kakashi froze hearing that name. How is it possible? Kakashi asked. Madara didn't die in his battle with Hashirama, and a few years later my father was born, Naruto said. Geez, with blood like that and how he is, no, Naruto will be extremely powerful later on, Kakashi thought. You know the council will be on your when they find out, right? Kakashi asked. Don't worry, I already studied politics and laws. I knew someday I would need them, Naruto said, laughing. This is the reason I asked the old man not to be on your team. I knew Sasuke would be with you so you could train his Sharingan when he awakened it, and I would someday have to use it, and I didn't want to always be covering it up with a genjutsu, Naruto explained, and Kakashi nodded. I'm just picturing the council faces when they find out, Kakashi said, laughing. Let's go home and rest. You need to work on the bridge tomorrow since you blew it up, Kakashi said, and Naruto sighed. End flashback. Everyone from town was gathered up in the bridge saying their goodbyes to their heroes. The brave shinobi that killed Gato and freed the wave. Don't cry, Inari. I'll come visit, Naruto said. Inari simply nodded. Take care, old man, Naruto said to Tazuna. Goodbye and don't forget to visit. Tazuna said, and everyone nodded and left towards the leaf. What should we name the bridge? One of the townspeople asked. How about the super great Tazuna Bridge? Tazuna said, and Tsunami bonked him in the head. How about the great Naruto Bridge, since he was the one that killed Gato and convinced Inari to fight for what he wants? Tsunami replied, and everyone agreed. The great Naruto Bridge it is, Tazuna said, watching everyone leave. Hokage's office one day later. Everyone was in the Hokage's office giving their report of the mission. Since their group was only shinobi, they managed to get back to the leaf much faster, even having to stop a few times so Sakura could rest. Naruto has the same talent as his father, the Hokage thought, reading about his lightning attack. And turned to the missing nin in the room and starting ming his temples. You give me nothing more than paperwork, Naruto-kun, the old man said. How about this? You let Zabuza and Haku join the leaf and I tell you how to defeat paperwork, Naruto said, and in a flash the Hokage threw 2 headbands to Haku and Zabuza and started shaking Naruto's shoulder, begging him to tell. Everyone watching this sweat dropped. 2 words, Naruto said, and Hokage focused on him. Kage Bushin, he said. The Hokage walked calmly to his chair. He opened one drawer and took a paper that said, "Smash here." He put the paper on the table and started slamming his head, saying, "Stupid, stupid. I'll allow it. Zabuza, since you are a missing nin, you will have a 6-month probation period," the Hokage said, and he nodded. Haku, since you don't have any village affiliation, you can join a genin team next graduation. How about it? He asked. Actually, Hokage-sama, I would like to become a combat medic. I have good knowledge of poison and medicinal plants, she said, and the Hokage pondered. Very well, you can start in the hospital. I'll have someone teach you the basics, but you still need to be on a genin team and advance to at least shunin until you can dedicate full time, the Hokage explained, and she nodded. Everyone dismissed, the Hokage said, and create 3 shadow clones to do paperwork. Naruto-kun, how about I take you to ramen? The Hokage said, and Naruto started jumping in the air shouting, "Ramen, ramen. This village is crazy," Zabuza said, and Haku nodded. The next week, after everyone returned from their wave mission, went without much trouble. The Hokage gave them the week off so they could train and rest and do the occasional D-rank mission. During this week, Naruto and Hinata trained with Zabuza in their Kenjutsu and Hinata in Suiten Ninjutsu. Apart from training with Zabuza, they also did their normal training with Kurenai-sensei, but there wasn't much she could teach them. Also, Haku started in the hospital learning the basics of medical ninjutsu. She was really skilled in it. Naruto also trained Hinata since she started showing a lightning affinity. With this training, she started developing a new taijutsu style that was rather deadly. One small touch and everything was over. This new style could be considered an improvement over her flowing fist. Currently it was around 4 p.m. and both Naruto and Hinata were resting on the couch, locked in a makeout session. Naruto was on top, planting kisses all around her neck, making her laugh. She decided to return the favor and flipped him, making her be on top. She kissed deeply in the lips for a few seconds and left him dazed. Suddenly there was a knock on the door and Naruto pouted that it ruined their alone time. "I swear I'm about to kill whoever knocked," Naruto muttered as he got up and went to the door. "Come on, Naru-kun, be nice," Hinata said. "We can always continue after it," she said, winking at him. Naruto turned back to look at her with a devious smile that gave her chills. Naruto opened the door and saw an Anbu masked shinobi standing there. "Yes?" Naruto asked. "The Hokage demands your presence in the council room," the Anbu said, and grabbed his arm, getting ready to take him away. Naruto removed his arm from his grip. "We will be there momentarily," Naruto said in a cold tone, glaring at him with his cold blue eyes. The Anbu nodded. Naruto closed the door and turned back to Hinata, who was waiting for him. "Sorry, Haim, but the council wants me. Wanna come? It's fun," he said, smirking. "Sure. Let me grab a coat," she replied. She got up, grabbed a coat, both walked out of the house. When outside, they both shunshine to the Hokage's tower. Hokage Tower Council Room. Naruto and Hinata arrived at the Hokage Tower and made their way towards the council room. When they arrived, there was an Anbu stationed outside of the room guarding it. The Anbu opened the door and they both walked in. The civilian council immediately started glaring at him and he simply discarded it. Hiyashi was glaring daggers at Hinata, wondering what she was doing here. What are you doing here, Hinata? Hiyashi asked. Can't I be here for my boyfriend? She replied, kissing him in the cheek and getting a distasteful look from Hiyashi and the civilians. Disgusting. How can you oceate with a duh? Hiyashi didn't finish as a kunai launched from Naruto lodged itself in the wall near his head, cutting a few hairs and making the man freeze. Careful, Hiyashi-sama. I wouldn't want you to break the Hokage-sama's law, Naruto said, smirking. The Hyugas were known for always remaining cool no matter how stressful the situation. Everyone's eyes widened. If he wanted, he could have killed him right here and no one even saw him pulling out a kunai. You dare attack me? I can kill your precious girlfriend here only lifting 2 fingers, Hiyashi said in a calm tone. You could try, but you would hit the floor dead before your fingers were even in the tiger seal, Naruto calmly said. Is that a threat? Hiyashi asked, narrowing his eyes. No, just a warning. If you do anything to harm her, well, in this case you would call it the Hyuga Maker, except I would only kill the main house since they are all arrogant, Naruto said, and everyone gasped and Hiyashi simply scowled. He would have his revenge, but not now, trying to defuse the situation before he embered himself even more. How can you have weapons in here? The Anbu outside should have made sure no weapons were allowed in here, Hiyashi said. The Hokage only watched the interaction with fascination. Here it was a 14-year-old boy pissing off the council. It amused as hell, so he just watched. See these little things? Naruto said and showed his wrist bands. In these wrist bands I have a few storage seals for kunai, shurikens and senbons. It's a lot easier than wearing a pouch. Besides, it's not my fault the Anbu didn't check them, Naruto explained. Besides, I don't understand why you prevent weapons in here but you let in shinobi without restricting their chakra. Chakra is the shinobi's ultimate weapon. Without it we are nothing more than civilians, Naruto said, and everyone pondered. He has a point, you know, Shikaku asked rhetorically, and few nodded. That's not what we called you here for, one of the civilians said. Before we start, may I ask what is Sasuke doing here? Naruto asked, and everyone stared at him, wondering how he managed to sense his chakra. Sasuke stepped out from the shadows, smirking. How did you know I was there, Dobi? Sasuke asked. Everyone seems to keep forgetting that I'm a censor, Naruto said, sighing. Hey old man, so, Naruto didn't get to finish. Show respect to the Hokage brat, Hiyashi said. Fine, Hokage-sama, I was wondering the reason you called me, Naruto said. That I would like to know as well. The Hokage replied, looking at the civilian council who was a bit nervous. We are here so that Naruto-san can teach Uchiha-sama that lightning jutsu you used in your last mission, one of the civilians said, and Naruto narrowed his eyes. Sorry, not teaching it. It's an S-ranked jutsu of my own creation, so it belongs to me and I alone can choose who to teach it to, Naruto said, and the civilian side erupted in protest. Naruto simply waited for them to calm down. You should be proud of teaching the Uchiha-sama, the pink banshee yelled. Her name was Sakura and she was Sakura's mother. I don't understand you. Couple weeks ago you bitched about me becoming a shinobi and one of you hired 2 jonins to innate me and now you want me to teach him, Naruto said, and the shinobi side froze when they heard they tried to innate him. Could you clarify your I-Nation attempt, Naruto-san? Shibi said. Aburame Shibi was Shino's father and the current head of the Aburame clan. The night after the genin's graduation, one member of the civilian side named Tuno Kanta hired 2 jonin to kill us. They managed to break into my house during the night and tried to stab us. However, I sensed them and we killed one of them while restraining the other and delivered him to the Hokage, Naruto explained. We? Shibi asked. Hinata is living with me, Naruto explained, and Hiyashi thought that her daughter couldn't sink any lower. After that, the one who hired them was executed for an attack attempt on a leaf shinobi, Naruto explained. Oh, and just to warn you, if you try again, I already protected my house with a few security seals, so if anyone tries to break into it they will have a nasty surprise, Naruto said, smirking evilly and giving the civilians shivers. We are getting off topic. We demand you teach the jutsu to Uchiha-sama, Sakura said, getting to the point of the meeting. I already said that I won't. It's my creation, for example, Naruto said and turned towards Hiashi. The Kaden technique doesn't require any type of bloodline, so anyone could learn it. Why not teach it to the general shinobi? Naruto asked. That technique is secret of the Hyuga clan, but I wonder how you know about it, Hiashi said, narrowing his eyes. Naruto said, and Hinata went to the middle of the room and started spinning with a low-powered cadence so she didn't destroy anything. How dare you use a technique of the main branch of the Hyugas? Hiashi yelled, getting up and finally losing his temper and raising his 2 fingers to activate Hinata's cursed seal. Naruto, seeing this, dashed forward with blinding speeds and slammed both hands into Hiashi's chest, saying, "Chakra seal," applying a chakra restricting seal with his left hand, and saying, "Paralysis seal," applying a seal that stops all motion from Hiashi, freezing him in place with his right hand. Suddenly Anbu appeared in the room with swords drawn and pointed to Naruto's neck. Everyone's eyes were bulging out at the events that transpired just a few seconds ago. The Hokage was simply enjoying his life. Naruto's speed was phenomenal as his work with seals. Only a skilled seal master could apply seals with his hands. Naruto activated his Kamui with his Sharingan hidden and simply walked through the Anbu and their sword towards Hinata. Anbu just watched him literally walk through them like he was a ghost. I told you council meetings are fun, Naruto said, and Hinata giggled while everyone was staring at the pair. Naruto-kun, remove the seals from Hiashi, the Hokage said, and Naruto complied and removed his seals from him. And Hiashi, refrain yourself from disturbing actions, the Hokage concluded. Hiashi continued glaring at the pair, releasing little bit of ki that didn't even affect them. Now, I won't teach it to Sasuke for 3 reasons, Naruto started. First, he doesn't deserve it, he's an arrogant kid who thinks everyone should kneel before him. Second, you need a very high lightning affinity to be able to use it. Your affinity must be on the same level as Nadime's water affinity, but in this case for lightning. Third, I'm a shinobi, so you have no authority over me, Naruto concluded. Sasuke, seeing this, seethed his teeth as Naruto was explaining. You don't deserve that power, and everyone should kneel before the Uchihas, Sasuke said, and rushed Naruto with a kunai. Naruto sidestepped him and placed him in a chokehold. After a few seconds he dropped him into the floor unconscious. You killed him, Anbu killed the demon, Sakura yelled, and the Naruto simply sighed. He's just unconscious. As much I hate him, I wouldn't kill him just because of his temper, Naruto explained. And your worship for the Uchiha will be your downfall one day. Care to explain how he managed to pull a kunai from his pouch? Naruto asked. Nobody answered. The Shinobi Council didn't like the Uchiha. He was an arrogant fool, but the civilians pampered his every demand. Naruto-san, we agree that jutsu is yours and only you should choose who to teach to, Shibi said. Thank you, Aburame-san. Naruto said, glad this was over. However, he hoped he could still have a bit of fun with anyone else. However, could you explain the requirements and disadvantages of the jutsu for cliffation? Shibi said. That jutsu could very well be a kinjutsu. Not a problem. For starters, to use this attack you need high lightning affinity because you need to able to draw the energy from the Earth's electromagnetic field. Once you manage to gather enough of it in the same place, clouds will form and create thunders. Once this is done, I can manipulate the thunder and redirect it to the enemy. Due to using nature's energy instead of chakra, the attack is extremely more powerful. The only drawback is that after using it you can only use it in the same place after a few minutes so that the energy from the field can stabilize, Naruto explained, and everyone thought about the possibilities of that jutsu. It could easily topple a building or destroy a small army. You are skilled, Naruto-san. My son was right about you, Shibi said, and Naruto nodded. Can we leave? No. Naruto asked, and seeing the Hokage nodding started walking out of the room until they heard one of the civilians whispering, "Demon," but everyone heard it. For Kami's sake, how the hell can I prove that I'm not the Kyuubi? Naruto asked, but everyone remained silent. Naruto decided to scare the crap out of them and said, "Oh, I know a way," and everyone perked up. "Hey Kyuubi, wake up," Naruto said to Kurama, but out loud so everyone could hear him. Everyone wondered what he was doing, but the civilians were all sweating bullets. "What do you want, Kit?" Kurama asked. "How about we play with them for a bit? Just don't kill anyone," Naruto thought, and Kurama smirked. "Kage Bunshin no Jutsu," Naruto said, and made a single clone. In the clone, Kurama took control. His eyes became blood red with vertical slits, his whisker marks became more pronounced, and his teeth became fangs. "Well, hello," the Kyuubi said in a very dark voice, scaring the crap of everyone in the civilian side. The Hokage already knew about him helping Naruto, but the shinobi side was a bit weary. "KK Kyuubi?" Sakura asked. "Lord Kyuubi, you pathetic mortal," the Kyuubi said, and Sakura shrunk into her chair just staring at new transformed Naruto. "You hungry?" Naruto asked. "I could eat," Kyuubi replied. "You can start with the pink banshee," Naruto said, and Sakura started shaking and fainted. Naruto, seeing this, sweat dropped. "She fainted. Pick another," he said. "Oh, just forget it, I'll eat them all," Kyuubi said, and using a discreet henge transformed into a medium-sized fox with 9 tails and orange fur. He calmly walked towards the civilian side. The rest simply watched as one by one everyone in the civilian side fainted and remained there in the ground drooling. "That was fun," the Kyuubi said, making Naruto and Hinata laugh while everyone just sweat dropped. "We are leaving, see you tomorrow, Gigi," Naruto said, and walked out of the room. "I like his style," Sume said. She was the head of the Inuzuka clan and Kiba's mother. "Sniff sniff, what's that smell?" she asked. "I think I know." Sigh. "Who the hell is carrying them home?" the Hokage asked, and in a flash the whole shinobi side vanished. Did Minato teach them the Hirishin? The Hokage wondered and thought. "With our favorite couple. I told you, council meetings are fun," Naruto said, chuckling. "How are you feeling? You didn't see your father since he expelled you," Naruto said. "I'm fine. He no longer means anything to me, he was never really a father. I think I never got to love him," she sadly said. "Besides, I have you now, and that is all I need," she said, kissing him in the cheek and wrapping herself around his arm, resting her head on his shoulder. "Shall we continue what we were doing?" Naruto asked, remembering what they were doing before they left. "Are you sure?" Hinata whispered in a teasing voice. Naruto picked her up bridal style and sunshined home. Few days later, Team 8 was en route to the Hokage Tower to get a new mission. Their week off was over and now they were ready for real missions. No more of those dreary D-ranks missions. During the remaining of the week, Naruto learned a few lightning jutsus from Kakashi. Flashback. Naruto was walking towards Team 7 training grounds since he set a training session with Kakashi. Naruto waited a few minutes, but then he remembered Kakashi's nasty habit of arriving late to any appointment. Naruto extended his senses and found Kakashi a few hundred meters away. He walked towards him and found him staring at the memorial stone. Naruto approached him, but Kakashi didn't even notice him since he was deep in thought. "So," Naruto said, startling Kakashi, "this is where you spend your time?" Naruto continued in a low tone, seeing the names of his parents in the stone. The memorial stone is a monument in Konoha where are written all the names of shinobi killed in action, a reminder of their sacrifice to protect their home. Neither of them said anything during a few minutes until Naruto spoke. "You shouldn't dwell in the past. I know, but I can't forget my past actions. If I wasn't so arrogant back then, he would still be alive," Kakashi said. I'm the last of my genin team. My best friend, Obito, died to save me. Rin sacrificed herself forcing me to kill her and Sensei died defeating the Kyuubi. In his dying moments I promised Obito I would take care of Rin and I failed, Kakashi said almost breaking. You can't protect everyone even I know that. The only thing we can do is try our hardest. Like you, I would do anything to protect those who I care about but we can't be there for everyone, Naruto said. I just feel it's my fault, Kakashi said. You tried your best, no one could ask for more. It's time to let go, Naruto said placing his hand on his shoulder and slowly turning away to leave. It would be best to leave him be after their talk. Maybe he's right, I've dwelled in the past long enough, Kakashi thought looking one final time at the stone. I promise Sensei I'll do my best to protect and guide your son, he thought smiling and turned away from it going towards Naruto. Wait Naruto, I believed we had a training session, Kakashi yelled making Naruto stop and turn towards him. Maybe my talk did some good, Naruto thought. Let's get this started, I'll be teaching you a few lightning jutsus, I've got plenty, Kakashi said lifting his headband and showing his Sharingan. Kakashi sensei, I wonder why can't you disable your Sharingan, Naruto said. It's because I'm not an Uchiha and I can't cancel the chakra flowing into the eye, Kakashi replied. Maybe your eye is forcibly consuming chakra to remain activated. Naruto pondered for a few seconds and said, maybe I can apply a seal in your eye that allows you to cut the chakra feed completely allowing you to see, normally, but still be able to reactivate the Sharingan. Really? Kakashi asked incredulously. If he could it would be good, he hasn't seen anything with his left eye in years outside of battles. Besides it would remove his blind spot when not using the Sharingan. I'm pretty good with seals I'll see what I can do. Let's get started, Naruto said and activated his Sharingan. First I'll show this. Raiden, lightning chain, Kakashi said making a cage bushin. Kakashi slammed his right hand with the clone's left hand and when they were separating it created a thin line of Raiden chakra. Both Kakashi and his clone ran towards a tree slicing it cleanly. Wow, that's an A- rank jutsu, Naruto said giddy and Kakashi smiled. His sensei was always up to learn new jutsu. The next is the final version of my Chidori, it's called Reikiri, lightning cutter. Instead of gathering lightning chakra in the palm of your hand, you envelop your hand in it. By doing so you increase the piercing power of your hand making it possible to pierce or slice anything. This is why it's called Reikiri, because I used it to cut through lightning. This technique requires more chakra control over your element and it's an S-rank technique, Kakashi explained. N. Reikiri it's like Sandame Reikage attack. End flashback. Mission IGN meant room. They arrived at the mission room and saw the traditional setup. The Hokage in the center of the table with Iruka to his left. Also in the room, near the edge of the table, was a girl. She was around Naruto's age. She wore a clip in her green hair in a color that matched her orange eyes. Her ninja outfit consisted of a short sleeveless white shirt with fishnet armor underneath, long white armlets, and fishnet shorts with a short white apron skirt over it. Her forehead protector was worn on her right arm. Naruto stared at her getting a weird vibe from her. The Hokage simply watched Naruto analyzing the young girl. Naruto, it's rude to stare, Kurenai scowled at the blonde. Shino remained stoic like always. Kit, I'm getting a reading on demon chakra from her, she's the Jinchuriki of the Nanabi. Kurama said and Naruto nodded. Nice to meet you 7, I'm Uzumaki Naruto, Naruto said and everyone wondered what he meant by calling her 7. Nice to meet you 2-9, I'm Fu, she replied and both Team 8 and Iruka stared at the young girl when she called Naruto 9. Seeing that Naruto called her 7 that could only mean she was also a Jinchuriki. Who would figure? So old man, I guess the mission involves Fu, Naruto asked and the Hokage chuckled. The mission I have for you is AB rank because of its importance rather than danger, the Hokage started. The mission is to go to Hidden Village in the waterfall and negotiate trading agreements. Fu here will accompany you to the village since it's hard to find, the Hokage concluded. The Hokage picked up the scroll and threw it at Kurenai and said, "In there are the mission details." Naruto narrowed his eyes and asked, "You set this up, didn't you?" "I thought you would like to meet another Jinchuriki like you," the old man replied. "I appreciate it," Naruto said and turned to Fu, "So let's head out, I want to see your village," Naruto said. "Before we part ways, prepare for a 1-week mission. Gather at the West Gate in 1 hour," Kurenai said, and everyone left the room. West Gate 1 hour later. About 1 hour later, everyone stood ready at the gate. After they signed their release forms, they left the village traveling at shinobi pace towards Fu's village. Their travel was uneventful. They were attacked by a few low-level thugs, nothing they couldn't handle. "So Fu, what's like your village?" Naruto asked, and Fu got a bit hesitant. "The only thing I can say is that it's beautiful," Fu replied. "The thing I love most is that it has the most beautiful sunsets," she explained, and Naruto nodded. "Another thing is that my village's atmosphere tends to a bit moist from the waterfalls, so it's perfect for finding new bugs," she concluded. "Bugs?" Shino asked, raising an eyebrow. "Oh, that's right. You're from the Aburame clan that specializes in bugs, right?" she asked, and Shino nodded. "One side effect of me being the Jinchuriki of the Nanabi is that I can communicate with bugs and use them as a weapon," she explained. "By the way, how is the Nanabi?" Naruto asked. "If you want, we can open a channel," Fu asked, and Naruto nodded. Kurama opened the channel and they were dragged to what appeared to be a very dark room, and in the center there was light. Few seconds later, 2 figures appeared the room. The first one appeared to be a giant bug with horns and wings, and on top of his head was Fu. The other was a big fox, the 9 tails and orange fur, and on top of his head was Naruto. "Shume, long time no see," Kurama said. "It's been a while, Kurama," Shume replied. "You know, I never thought of seeing you friendly with your container," Shume said, smirking. "Laugh if you want. But it gets boring being sealed for 100 years and I need something to entertain myself, besides the kid is not half bad," Kurama replied. "You damn right I'm not bad," Naruto replied, and the Kyuubi used of his tails and knocked him down from his head and sent crashing to the ground. "You are still a brat," Kurama said, and Fu laughed. Naruto simply stuck his tongue out to Kurama. "Damn furball," he muttered. "It was good seeing good. Until next time," Kurama said, and both of them exited their mindscapes. "What happened, Naruto? Both of you spaced out?" Kurenai asked. "We were just talking amongst ourselves with the Kyuubi and Nanabi. They haven't seen each other in a few years," Naruto said, and seeing the confused look of Kurenai, Fu decided to elaborate. "Jinchurikis can create a mental link with other Jinchurikis and talk through our mind," Fu explained, and everyone nodded. Few hours later, near the waterfall village, Team 8 and Fu were arriving at the village entrance when Naruto's instinct kicked in, making him slightly jump out of surprise. "What's wrong, Naruto-kun?" Hinata asked, concerned. There wasn't much talk after what Naruto said. "Naruto-kun, is she your girlfriend?" Fu teased, wanting the juicy details. "She is, but I sense 3 chakra signatures coming towards at high speed, all Jonin level," Naruto said, and everyone got in position. "Fu, what's your rank?" Naruto asked. "I'm Genin level alone, but if I use Nanabi's chakra I'm around Chunin level, but I can't control it, ped 2 tails," she explained, and Naruto nodded. "They may not be enemies, however let's take precaution," Naruto said, and Kurenai took charge. "Since they are 3 Jonin, we will need to split up. Naruto, can you take one by yourself?" Kurenai asked, and Naruto nodded. "I have a few tricks up my sleeve, and if need be I can use the Kyuubi's chakra," Naruto replied. "Then Naruto, you take one, Hinata and Shino the other, and me and Fu will take the last," Kurenai ordered. Moments later, 3 figures rushed out of the woods and jumped in front of Team 8 and Fu. The middle figure that seemed to be the leader wore a full-body sleeveless suit that was mostly black with the sides being light purple. He had green hair and purple eyes. The other 2 wore the same outfit that consisted of full-body black suit and on top a light purple mid-sleeved shirt with black belt in their waist. The faces were completely covered by a black mask revealing only the eyes. However, what all 3 of them had in common was the Hittite that had the design of a musical note. "Who are you? And what do you want?" Kurenai asked, keeping her guard up. "My name is Rokushu Aoi and we are here to take her," he said, pointing to Fu. As he said that, everyone took a defensive formation around her. In this fanfic, Aoi joined Oto instead of Aim. "Rokushu Aoi, you are a newkenin from the Leaf Village," Kurenai said. "What do you want from me? And I don't recognize your Hittite symbol," Fu asked. "We are from the Hidden Sound Village and we want you because you are the guardian of the Au no Mizu, Hero Water," Aoi said, getting ready to take by force if need be. "Hero Water?" Naruto asked. Fu was a bit reluctant but decided to tell them since they would most likely help her. "Hero Water is a special water that only exists in our village and it's considered a forbidden drink. The water gives the user, when consumed, an enormous boost in chakra. The water multiplies by 10-fold the user's chakra output, however it shortens their lifespan. Our ancestor used it to defend our village when needed. And the reason they want me is because I'm the guardian of the fountain," Fu explained, and Team 8 eyes widened. Multiplying chakra output by 10-fold is some power. But no power comes without cost. "Well, you aren't getting Fu," Naruto said and took step forward. "A brave little genin are you," smirked Aoi and withdrew his sword. Naruto's eye widened when he saw the sword. "That's the Raijin no Ken, sword of the Thunder God," Naruto said, and Kurenai wondered how could the Nadime's sword end up in Oto possession. "Enough of this. If you don't surrender the girl we will take her by force," Aoi said. "We are not letting her go, so that means we fight." "Kurenai-sensei, I will take Aoi because of the sword, my affinity should do well against him," Naruto said. He channeled chakra to his storage seal and in a poof of smoke stood in his right his Chikudo. He channeled Raiden chakra through it and it began to sparkle with a light blue aura around it. The group split apart until it remained only Aoi and Naruto. They both eyed each other before anyone made any move. "You have a lot of nerve to face me in battle. With this sword I'm invincible," Aoi said, smirking. Naruto shook his head and said, "You are too overconfident. No shinobi is invincible, there will always be some weakness or mistake we will make." Aoi dashed forward intending to kill the annoying blonde. He brought his sword down with vertical slash, trying to kill him in one swift motion. However, Naruto blocked the Raijin with his own sword and both fought for dominance, leading to a standstill. "How can that be? How can you block this sword like that?" Aoi asked, getting annoyed. His sword was supposed to be the most powerful sword in existence. "Like I said, no one is undefeatable and that sword isn't all powerful. My sword is made of chakra metal and I have a very high affinity towards lightning, making my sword almost on par with yours," Naruto explained, smirking and pissing Aoi off. "Senbon shower," Aoi said and picked his umbrella and threw it at the air. The umbrella started spinning and launched massive amounts of senbons towards Naruto. Naruto saw no way to dodge them all and went through a few hand seals. "Doden, Doryuheki, earth wall," Naruto said, and an earth rose from the ground blocking the senbon. "You are not bad for a genin," Aoi said. "Genin only in name," Naruto said, smiling and going through more hand seals. "Kaden. Gukaku no Jutsu, great fireball technique," Naruto said and sent a fireball towards Aoi. He simply brought his sword up and in a downward slash he cut through the fireball, making it disappear. Aoi dashed towards Naruto, but this time he channeled chakra to the sword and tried to shock Naruto. The sword sent a shockwave towards Naruto, who stood his ground, not moving an inch. Aoi laughed thinking he got Naruto but quickly quieted down when he saw Naruto getting shocked but standing there as if nothing was happening. How can stand there? Aoi asked. I told I have a very high lightning affinity. By coating my external body with chakra, any lightning attack I received is ineffective. Basically anything shorter than S-rank jutsu or other extremely well concentrated I'm immune to lightning attacks. That's the reason why I decided to fight you, Naruto explained and Aoi seethed his teeth. It doesn't matter, I'm going to kill you anyway, Aoi said and once again tried to slash Naruto but he blocked again and jumped back. Let's see what you can do without your precious sword, Naruto said and activated his Ms. It would be the first time using the long range of this. Kamui, Naruto said and focused on the sword. Moments later appeared what seemed to be a small rift, sucking the sword into it and closing. Aoi only watched as the sword got literally sucked out of his hands. Bastard, where did you send the sword to? Aoi asked, getting seriously pissed by him. I took the sword and intend to take it back to Konoha to where it belongs, Naruto explained. It's time to end this, I need to go see how the rest of my team is doing. Naruto dashed forward and as he expected Aoi couldn't do much without his sword. Aoi followed the path that most Kekkei Genkai users do, they focused merely on that and think that they are invincible. Naruto brought his sword to a vertical slash making Aoi block with a kunai and jump to the right. Kage Shuriken no Jutsu, Shuriken Shadow Clone, Naruto said and sent 5 shurikens that multiplied to 100. Aoi brought his umbrella up and blocked them all. Aoi ran towards him and before Naruto could realize he was stabbed in the back with a kunai. Aoi smirked until Naruto dispelled in a blue light sending a rush of Raiden chakra through Aoi shocking him. Aoi was left lightly twitching as he looked for Naruto. Aoi barely dodged Naruto's hand as it rose from the ground and tried to catch him. Sweden. Tepudama, water bullet, Aoi and sent a few bullets towards Naruto who got hit with 3 of them, 2 in the chest and 1 in the leg leaving him in the ground clutching in pain. Aoi approached Naruto getting ready to finish him with a kunai. He brought it down and slashed his neck. Aoi smirked until Naruto puffed away in smoke and suddenly he froze unable to move. He only saw Naruto appearing behind his back and slamming his hand in his back. How? Aoi barely managed to ask. You let your guard down. When you hit me with the water bullets you thought you had me, however when you sent them I switched with a clone and hid underground. When you approached to kill my clone I popped up and placed a paralysis seal on you, Naruto said and Aoi just cursed his luck by being defeated by a mere 14-year-old. Now that you can't move you will answer a few questions before I take back to the leaf. Naruto said and walked in towards Aoi before standing a few inches before him. What do you want the water for? Naruto asked in an emotionless tone gazing Aoi with his cold blue eyes that seemed to reflect Aoi's soul upon them. Like I would tell you anything, Aoi sneered and Naruto simply smirked. Let's have some fun then, Naruto said licking his lips in a typical Anko fashion giving him shivers. Damn kid. When did you learn that? Kurama asked surprised by the sudden change in attitude. When you have Kage Bushin coupled with the Sharingan that grants you photographic memory you are bound to learn quite a few things. And have you forgot I've read almost the entire library in Konoha? Naruto explained and cut the feed deciding to focus on Aoi first. Naruto activated his Sharingan but only gave him shivers. Aoi wouldn't budge. Let's try this. Megan. Jigoku Guka no Jutsu, Hellfire Technique, Naruto said trapping Aoi in an illusion that gave the idea of being burned alive. This went on for a few minutes and yet Aoi wouldn't crack. That alone isn't going to cut it, Aoi said weakly. Even thought he didn't succumb to the illusion he was weakened by it. I wonder why you won't talk. I mean, you are going to Konoha anyway. So why not make it easier for you, Naruto said trying to rationalize with him. It isn't Konoha I'm afraid, Aoi replied and Naruto rose an eyebrow. Hey Kurama, I can't use Tsukuyomi yet, can you lend me a hand? Naruto asked. Of course, I'm always up for some fun, Kurama said smirking. Naruto deactivated his Sharingan and channeled Kyuubi's chakra to his eyes, turning them into blood red with black vertical slits. Naruto gazed into Aoi and suddenly he was dragged into Naruto's mind. Aoi wondered where he was until he was faced with steel-caged doors that seemed to be meant to keep something locked up. However, that thought sent shivers as the doors were fully unlocked. Aoi gazed inside only to see two blood-red eyes glowing in the dark. The eyes were increasing in size as a figure could be seen approaching. A few seconds later, the figure revealed itself to Aoi, making him freeze in place. In front of him was an orange fox with 9 tails swirling. In front of him was the Kyuubi no Yoko, the most powerful Biju of all. Oh, a snack. You are too good to me, kid, Kurama said, walking slowly towards Aoi, who remained in place but apparently lost control of his bladder. I told you I wasn't a bad guy, Naruto replied, simply watching Aoi wet himself, literally. Kurama approached Aoi, licking his teeth, getting ready to devour him. Oh, okay, I'll tell you everything I know, Aoi stuttered, not really managing to control his body at the moment. That wasn't so hard now, was it? Naruto asked rhetorically. Why do want the water? Naruto asked. It was a mission. Our village leader makes acquiring the water a priority mission. But I don't know what he wants it for, Aoi quickly answered. I see, and who is your village leader? Naruto asked. Orochimaru, the snake Sannin, Aoi replied, and Naruto rose an eyebrow. Orochimaru founded his own village. Interesting, I'll tell the old man when I get back, Naruto thought. Anything else I should know? Naruto asked, and Aoi quickly shook his head, saying no. Naruto released the illusion and went behind him, giving a chop to the neck, knocking him out. Naruto released the paralysis and applied instead a chakra seal. He tied him up with ninja wire and sealed him in a stasis scroll to keep him alive. Thanks, Kurama, Naruto said. With the others, Naruto made their way to the others' battle just in time to see them end. Naruto, are you good? Kurenai asked. Yes, I have his sword and he's sealed in a stasis scroll. I will take him back to questioning, but I did manage to find out that his village is run by Orochimaru, Naruto explained. Orochimaru? Kurenai asked. Yes, we will inform Gigi when we arrive at the village, Naruto said. How is everyone? He asked. We are good. Shino and Fu are a little out of breath, a few bruises and scratches but nothing too major, Hinata replied. Let's go to village to rest and report the details, Kurenai said. Village gates. Team 8 lead by Fu was approaching the gates of the waterfall village. They arrived near the gate and were stopped by 2 guards. The guards turned to the approaching people and spotted a Konoha team with Fu. So, you are back already? One of the guards asked to Fu, clearly despising her. She frowned but nodded. Team 8 caught this and weren't happy, primarily Naruto. My name is Yuhi Kurenai. I'm here with my team, Aburame Shino, Hyuga Hinata and Uzumaki Naruto for negotiations, Kurenai said, handing them the scroll with the Hokage's stamp. Welcome to the waterfall village, the same guard said and allowed them page. They were walking towards the village's center where the village leader lived. Team 8 seemed to notice that Fu was getting the same hateful glares and the casual insults as Naruto did in Konoha. It seems that you two aren't liked here, Naruto stated sadly. It's the fate of all Jinchuriki. We are all treated badly, but even then there are some people that see us for us and not the beast, Fu explained. I don't understand why people can't see the difference between a scroll and a kunai. You are humans just like the rest of us, Hinata said. Naruto chuckled, but this laugh was filled with irony and got confused looks from everyone. Jinchuriki, the power of human sacrifice, Naruto started getting the attention of everyone. I've thought a lot about this, and the more I think, the more I realize that, We aren't humans, Naruto said, getting gasp from everyone. Even the Kyuubi and the Nanabi were listening. Naruto got into thinking pose before continuing. The moment the Biju are sealed into a human being, either it is a newborn or adult, we are bound with him until the end of our lives, since if you remove the Biju from the host he dies, Naruto said, and got gasps from everyone. It is a strange thing, the Biju and their host. We do not need them and yet we cannot live without them. The moment they are trapped in us they become part of us. Naruto said, and everyone stopped walking and just stood there listening to the blonde. If we combine forces we are unstoppable, and yet a piece of paper with ink can cripple us, making us strong yet fragile. Once we are bonded, each of the host gains special abilities that neither someone with Kekkei Genkai can achieve. Our chakra starts changing to adapt the Biju demon chakra, making it stronger than other humans. So you see, I'm not the beast, but I'm not the same human I was born. Naruto concluded, and no one said anything. Everyone just started walking and thinking about what the blonde had said. Is it true? Fu thought. The kid is right, you know. The moment we bond you become something else, because you aren't me but you become different from the others. But even I don't know what, Chome said. Kid, and I thought you were a brat. Kurama said, chuckling. To think you could come up with something like this, Kurama said, but Naruto only nodded and didn't say anything. Everyone just continued their path thinking about what the blonde said. Waterfall Tower. They arrived at the center of the village and stopped in front of what was supposed to be the waterfall tower. They could see stairs going around the tree, and the tree itself was the building. They made their way up the tower and stopped facing two red doors that, according to Fu, lead to Shibuki's office, the village leader. They knocked and heard someone say, "Enter." Teammate and Fu quickly complied and opened the doors and found themselves in a small, modest-looking office. There was a shelf with books, a small couch, a few pictures, and in the back was a desk with Shibuki behind working. Shibuki has black eyes and has long, dark brown hair. He also wears a forehead protector symbolizing his shinobi status. He had gray pants, a green shirt, and ninja sandals. "Oh Fu-chan, welcome back," Shibuki said, smiling. Apparently he was one of the people Fu said that treated her well. "Hi. Mission accomplished, Shibuki-sama," Fu replied and stepped out of the way so Team 8 could present themselves. "Thank you for having us, Shibuki-sama." Kurenai started bowing. "My name is Yuhi Kurenai and this is my team, Aburame Shino, Hyuga Hinata and Uzumaki Naruto," she concluded, and everyone bowed in respect. "Not at all. I trust the travel went well?" Shibuki asked and caught the slightly hesitation in Konoha's team. "What happened?" he asked. "We were attacked by Konoha Nuken and Rokushu Aoi with two other Jonins. Apparently they were from a new village, hidden village that was founded recently in the rice country. They were after me and their objective was stealing the hero water. Fortunately we managed to win. Aoi was captured. Both Jonin were killed," Fu explained, and Shibuki brought his hand to his chin and stood there processing the information. "Did you find out why they wanted it?" Shibuki asked. "I interrogated their leader Aoi, and apparently their village is called the Hidden Sound Village and their leader is Konoha's Nukenin Orochimaru the Snake Sanin," Naruto stepped forward and explained. "This is troubling news." Shibuki started. "The water is very dangerous, even more in the hands of Orochimaru. I'll increase security in the borders and in the fountain to make sure," he finished. "We will take Aoi for interrogation back in Konoha and we will send you the information we find," Kurenai said. "Thank you. I appreciate it," Shibuki replied. "Now, Kurenai-san, shall we discuss the trading agreements?" he asked, and Kurenai nodded. "Fu, accompany them to the hotel until we finish our talks," Shibuki said. Everyone bowed and left the room. Around the village. "You were right. This village is amazing," Naruto said as they were walking towards the hotel. The village had a very naturalistic tone to it. There were trees, and other plants everywhere, even the terrain was earth itself. Yes, And it seems to have many different bug species around, Shino said, observing the village trying to find out the different bugs around. Is that all you think about? Bugs? Naruto asked, getting a bit creeped out. You do realize that bugs are my weapons, Shino said in his usual stoic voice. You know, Naruto, Fu began, since you never used bugs, you don't realize how helpful they are. They are excellent for spying, they can steal chakra from the enemies, poison them or remove poison in you and many other things, Fu explained. I guess is true, however for information gathering I have my Kage Bushin and for poison the Kyuubi takes care of that, Naruto said and noticed that Shino was talking to Fu about bugs. I guess those two won't shut up about bugs too soon. It's getting late and it's nice weather, how about we go see this amazing sunset, Naruto asked. Who would have thought you were so romantic? Hinata asked rhetorically, kissing him and dragging him along. Watch. V equals IHG 8 VPKQBSG, start. And that they did. They managed to find a tall tree. They climbed it and sat on the very top overlooking the darkening sky and light of the village. She's right, it's beautiful, Hinata said as she looked at the sky. The sun was going down, just dimly sending light to the earth. The few clouds that existed seemed that they were on fire. Hinata was smuggled into Naruto's chest, leaning her head on his shoulder. His arms were wrapped around her in a protective manner. You know, these are the moments I treasure most, Naruto said, embracing Hinata tighter into him as if he let go she would slip away. When you are with me, he said, caressing her silky hair. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I've never been happier than I am right now, with you, she said. Having you here with me makes me forget everything else. I don't even care that my father left me. They couldn't be called family. If it meant being with you, I would have left well before, she said, turning around facing him and staring at his deep blue eyes and his hair that seemed to dimly glow. I don't care about the rest of the world. You were the first person that ever showed me real love, Naruto said, and I will treasure you and protect you forever, he said, making her smile. Her dark blue hair flowed in the wind and seemed to shine as the moon made its way up to the sky. I love you, Naruto, she said. I love you too, Hinata, Naruto replied and leaned forward, wrapping his arms around her and pulling her closer. Their lips met with a deep peonate kiss. It wasn't long, but it didn't matter. It was sufficient for either of them to understand the deep love they had for each other. They slowly separated and continued to watch the nightly sky until they both fell asleep in each other's arms. Music. End. Next day. The next day had come and apparently negotiations had gone well and Team 8 was getting prepared to leave. They regrouped with Fu at the gate to say their goodbyes. Even thought their stay was rather short, a simple night, it was sufficient for them to slightly bond. After all, Naruto, being a Jinchuriki, quickly became on friendly terms with Fu as Shino. Don't become strangers, try to visit, Fu said. Of course, we will do our best, Hinata said. Hey Fu, I have a gift for you, Naruto started and everyone rose an eyebrow. Here, Naruto said and handed her a tri-pronged kunai. This is a very special kunai. If you need help or just want to talk, throw it at the ground and I'll be there in a flash, Naruto explained, smiling. Fu gladly accepted the gift, as there weren't many people that were good to her. Thank you, Fu said and watched them leave and fade away with the distance. With Team 8, a few hours had gone by and Kurenai couldn't contain their curiosity anymore. Naruto, I have a question, Kurenai said. Shoot. Naruto answered. He already suspected where this was going. That kunai you gave Fu. That wasn't a normal kunai, Kurenai said, practically asking for an explanation. That kunai contains the Shiki formula for the Hiroshin no Jutsu, Naruto explained, not revealing too much information just to see the reaction of his sensei. The Hiroshin no Jutsu, but that was the Yan Yondaimi's technique, Kurenai stuttered, stopping and staring at Naruto. Looks like you figure it out, Naruto said. I can use it because it's my legacy. Minato Namikaze was my father, Naruto explained, and even Shino was surprised, finally forgetting his stoic face with one of shock. How is that possible? Kurenai asked. What do you mean? Naruto started. Didn't your mother give you the talk? Naruto asked, making Hinata and Kurenai blush. Idiot. Kurenai replied, smacking his head. The old man named me Uzumaki after my mother because my father had many enemies, primarily Iwa. I think I'm strong enough to protect myself and everyone I care about, so maybe I'll ask the old man to announce it when I become Chunin, Naruto explained. To think I never realized it. Blonde hair and blue eyes. Only the Yondaime had that particular combination, she replied. Don't worry. Even Kakashi-sensei didn't realize, and he was his student, Naruto said. You told Kakashi? Kurenai wondered. Yes, I've been training with him sometimes in the past weeks, Naruto answered. I should have known when you used the Rasengan on Zabuza, she said to herself. The Hiroshin no Jutsu was his most powerful technique, she said. My father truly was a genius in every sense of the word, Naruto said, remembering his brief talk when he met his father. But I can't use it on his level yet. I can't seem to handle extreme speeds yet. Every time I try multiple jumps I end up crashing into something, Naruto said, and Hinata started laughing as she remembered Naruto crashing into the walls and trees when he tried it. Still, you can use it, Kurenai said. She was starting to piece everything together and was starting to realize that Naruto and Hinata were prodigies. The skill they possessed at such a young age, to master high-level jutsu and even create their own. My team is going to rock the Chunin exams, she thought, and I'm betting on them, she thought, laughing to herself. Hokage's office. And that's what happened, Kurenai said. Geez, what's up with the missions? First a C rank goes A rank and now a simple B rank almost goes S rank, the Hokage said, smoking on his pipe. Old man here, Naruto said, and threw him 2 scrolls. One of the scrolls has Aoi in stasis for more deep interrogation and the other has the sword he stole, the Raijin no Ken, Naruto said, and Hiruzen eyes widened. The Raijin no Ken was stole many years ago by Aoi. He didn't think he would still have it. Hiruzen unsealed the sword scroll. He channeled chakra through it and the sword flared to life with yellow sparks. The Hokage stopped the chakra and thought for a moment before throwing it to Naruto again. Naruto caught the sword but looked at the Hokage in confusion. The old man sighed and placed a sound barrier. This would be a long talk. What I'm about to tell you is a secret that only I know, the old man said. I trust you will keep quiet, the Hokage asked, primarily Kurenai and Shino, who nodded. The Hokage pondered where to start. The sword belongs to you, Naruto, the Hokage said. What do you mean, it belongs to me? Naruto asked, still in confusion. You have Uchiha blood, however you are the heir to the Senju clan, the Hokage said, and everyone froze. You could hear a pin drop in the floor. Everyone in Team 8 was looking at Naruto, who was still processing what the old man had told him. What? Naruto asked in a low voice. You know your mother was Uzumaki Kushina and she came from the Whirlpool country, right? The Hokage asked, and Naruto nodded. I'll start in the beginning. Hashirama Senju and his wife, Uzumaki Mito, had 2 childs, 1 boy and 1 girl. The girl was named Senju Tsunade, the well-known slug Sanin. Tsunade later in life had a child named Senju Kushina. However, due to the war, the Senju clan was decimated, leaving only Tsunade and Kushina to reform the clan. Due to them being women and not wanting to be a breeding stock, they faked Kushina's death, resulting in the birth of Uzumaki Kushina, the Hokage said. You know the rest, the Hokage concluded. Kushina married Minato and I was born, Naruto said, and the Hokage nodded. Naruto didn't say anything during a few minutes as he thought about everything he learned. Wait, but then what about everything I found about the Uzumaki clan in my father's compound? Naruto asked. I chose the Uzumaki name because they were cousins of the Senju clan. During the wars the Uzumaki clan was destroyed, but your mother and father went to the Whirlpool village and salvaged what they could. That is one of the reasons your father was so good at Fuinjutsu, the Hokage said, and Naruto nodded until he remembered Tsunade. Tsunade is still alive. Did she leave me? Naruto asked, not really wanting to know the answer. Hinata went to him and grabbed his hand. No, the Hokage started. Tsunade lost everything she had. Her lover and brother died in the war. Then the Kyuubi attacked and her daughter also died. She wasn't in the village at the time, but she heard the news and ran. I tried to find her but I couldn't. She probably doesn't even know Kushina had a child, the Hokage explained. Naruto frowned for a few minutes thinking about it. Then I'll find her and bring her back to the village, Naruto said with his traditional smile. You took the news better than I expected, the Hokage said. Well, if Tsunade had raised me, I would probably never have found Hinata. Even though I had a hard life, I wouldn't trade her for anything, Naruto said, making the Hokage smile, seeing Naruto has good values. That means Uzumaki isn't even my real name. I kinda grew attached to it, Naruto said. Well, when you choose to reveal your heritage, you'll be able to pick the name you want for your clan, Senju, Namikaze, or even Uzumaki. However, Uchiha you can't since Sasuke is the heir, the Hokage explained. Like I would want to live with that idiot, Naruto said, laughing, and the Hokage chuckled. So the sword is mine. Naruto started, but what about Tsunade Ba-chan, isn't she the heir? Naruto asked. The Hokage smiled, seeing Naruto call her Ba-chan. She hasn't been on active duty in more than 10 years. Since you already completed missions, you are currently the heir, the Hokage explained, and Naruto nodded. Naruto channeled chakra to the sword, but the strangest thing happened. Instead of the usual yellow sparks, the sword flared, but with a bright blue color. The sword was sparkling with a lot more power than the 2 times he saw it. Check profile for Raijin in blue. What the hell? Naruto said out loud. Why is it blue? Naruto asked. The Hokage went into professor mode and quickly came up with a theory. Didn't you say that you had high affinity towards lightning? The Hokage asked, and Naruto nodded. Because of your high affinity, the sword probably reacted stronger to your chakra, probably making it more powerful, the Hokage explained. Guess I'm trading up my metal sword, Naruto said, chuckling, and deactivated it. Suddenly Naruto stiffened and he remembered something. Hiruzen raised an eyebrow silently, asking what happened. I'm just thinking of what the council will say when they find out I belong to the 2 most powerful clans in the world, Naruto said, smirking. It's going to be so much fun, he said, and everyone's sweat dropped. The Hokage simply laughed. The old man hated council meetings, but apparently young Naruto seemed to enjoy them.